Well, good evening. I pray that you've had a good day in the Lord, and I pray that you will have a good evening in the Lord. He will bless you throughout this night. I want to talk to you a little bit about charity today. Reading in Matthew chapter 25. I'm going to read verses 31 through 40 and talk about it in just a minute, okay? It says, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all of the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from the other, as a shepherd divides his sheep from his goats. And he will set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, 'Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.' Then the righteous will answer him, saying, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and came to you?' And the king will answer and say to them, 'Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to the one of the least of these of my brethren, you did it to me.'" Charity goes way beyond what we feel like doing, what we want to do, what we think we can afford to do. Can you outgive God when he tells us straight out that when we bless other people, when they're hurting, when they're sick, and we give them money or we give them transportation to the hospital or to the doctor's office, when they're hungry and we give them food, when they need clothing, or in the wintertime they need a coat and for something for warmth, and we give them a coat or a blanket and we help them out, even though sometimes we may look at them and say, "They've done this to themselves. They don't deserve this." Who deserves anything? We deserve death and hell because we're wicked people. Only because of Jesus Christ, we don't get what we deserve through him, because he paid the price. And the same thing goes here. These people may deserve that. They may not. We don't know their backstory. But either way, the Lord says to give to them. Help them out. Now, don't be stupid in your charity. I've learned the hard way many times. Don't give people cash that are on the side of the road, because many times they're alcoholics, or many times they're being used by a pimp, and that money goes to the pimp and they get abused. I mean, there's a lot of stuff goes on. Be wise in when you give and when you help people out. If they say they need gas for your car, then meet them at the gas pump. Make sure it's going for gas. If they're hungry, make sure you meet them at McDonald's or Sonic and buy them some food. That way you know it's going to the place where it's supposed to be. But charity is something that we're supposed to always be doing. Because what he says here, when you do it to the one of the least of these, you're doing it to me. It's a blessing to him when we bless somebody else. It blesses him, and not only him, it blesses us. It blesses us. He says, the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom." Come, you blessed of the Father, and inherit the kingdom. Why are they the blessed of the Lord? Why are they inheriting the kingdom? Number one, because they've given their heart to Jesus Christ. But number two, because they were generous in what they did. They gave not only of themselves, they gave of their finances, they gave of their time, they gave of their energy. Because he goes on, if you read the rest of this after 40, he will talk to those on the left and say, "Depart from me, because I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was naked and you didn't clothe me." And they're going to say the same thing. When was that? He said, "When you didn't do it to the least of one of these, you didn't do it to me." So our generosity goes beyond the person that we're helping. It's a mirror of who we are giving to is Christ, because we're Christ's emissaries, we're Christ's followers. And as we give to others, it's blessing them, it's blessing the Lord, and it's blessing us. It's a no-lose situation, unless you do it, again, I say improperly, but sometimes even then, if you do it unknowingly, innocently, then God will take care of it because you did what was right. And sometimes the finances say, well, I just really can't afford to do that. But sometimes God says, take a step of faith. Make sure he's telling you to. Make sure he's, especially when it's going to cost you something, make sure that he's in it. But do what he's told you to do. And if it takes your last penny, then do it because God will bless you through it. He will provide. He says he will. But charity is something that we need to, especially this day and time, we need to make a part of our lives. Again, wisely, but we need to make it a part of our lives. Not so involved in self. Well, I'll have to eat a hamburger instead of a steak. Okay, give up the steak and eat a hamburger so that you can bless somebody else. Give up a little bit of something that you want to help somebody else. Because I guarantee you, God's blessing is much better than anything you can give yourself. So I'm encouraging you today, ask the Lord what he would have you to do. Be generous to others. Whether they need it, deserve it or not, whether you think they do or not, it's not up to you. He's telling us to give. Oh, well, this is only given to Christians. Well, not many Christians that I know are in jail, in prison. Now, they are in other countries, and there are times when Christian people go to jail. And in Paul's time, he was in jail a lot. But people in jail need help, just like everybody else. So I encourage you, give to the Lord through helping somebody else. I love you, and I pray God blesses you. Bye-bye.